Good evening, everybody. Particularly astute ones will probably have noticed that I'm not wearing my safety vest on, or sorry, my high-vis vest. Well, normally I don't forget, but in this case, it was actually a very good thing that I forgot, because, well, turns out the locals, i.e. the seagulls, took a massive crap on me at one point, and I had to basically borrow one of theirs, and they crapped on that rather than the one I had. Oh, and on top of all that, nearly got run over by a cyclist. That was fucking wonderful. And then I saw him fall over, nearly get run over by a van, and his chain falls off his bike. So yes, it has been very eventful. But of course you didn't come here to find out whether I'm about to become a casualty on the cyclist statistics, or to find out that I've been shat on by a bird. No, I wanted to talk more about Nigel Farage and all that. But first, I have a joke for you. What do you call a politician sprinting into 10 Downing Street? Or just a politician in general, if you want. A running joke. Yes, because that's what I consider them all. Now we just need to get them on a treadmill. Anyway, back to Nigel Farage. So, Nigel Farage was actually getting attacked by Google, effectively. Not maliciously, not libelously, and not physically, but rather that Nigel Farage's advertising account on Google ended up suspended at one point. But of course he kicked up a big stink about it, as he quite rightly should, and anybody else should, if Google is trying to censor you, as is the typical culture of left-wing Silicon Valley big tech companies like Google and Facebook, or even YouTube. That's the thing. People like them, they always seek to suppress the other side because they are unequivocal fascists. You know, the very thing that they claim the far right is. That they're all racists and Islamophobes, lockdown protesters, etc., etc. But of course, the left would never admit to these kinds of things, because that would mean they would have to take something very important that is basically fundamental for any of us to become the better man or woman. It's called accountability. Me cause earthquakes every time I walk? Nah, that's not me. Anyway, the point is, they would have to take accountability for their actions if they had to admit that they were censoring people like Nigel Farage. But this is the thing. It's not any other parties that get censored. It's not other parties that have the likes of the snake Nick Robinson attack them. It's not the Labour Party, the Tories, the Greens and all that. It's only Nigel Farage. Have you noticed that? And of course, this is not to insult the intelligence of the viewers that I have, but rather to prove a point. Because I guarantee you, they won't ever attempt this with Marxist globalist parties, to which, obviously you've heard this old saying before, that Labour and Tories are two cheeks of the same arse. But of course, the mainstream media won't tell you this. You know the drill, because say it with me, folks, it doesn't suit the narrative. They don't want to tell us that Labour will basically sink the country 10 times faster, because if even the sheeple found out about that shit, they would all turn to reform just like that, in a heartbeat. And now we're coming up to the point where I nearly got run over, so I hope there's not a bad omen here. Anyway, these people in the mainstream parties do not offer solutions. They do not offer a cure, as it were, to this constant malignant poison that is in our country. They are merely snake oil merchants who would say to us, this thing is the elixir of life, and you can drink from it and you will gain 1,000 years of life. Tell that to a librarian, I bet they'd be fucking thrilled. Actually, no, they'd be completely silent, because they'd probably be wanting to keep silence in a library. But that's beside the point. The point is, they will try to sell us some miracle bullshit malarkey that simply is never going to happen. What I'd give right now to be up there with Nigel Farage basically saying what he may not have the bollocks to say. Because unlike Nigel Farage, I'm not a massive political figurehead. I may come across as some roughshod thug, or I guess you could even say it, some supposedly far-right individual, just because I care for my country and all that shit. But here's the thing. I may look like I have no intelligence, but there is still something rattling in my brain. Now to get that damn hamster moving again. Anyway, I at least have something that I can say, I have intelligence up here, no matter how little. It would still at least be far more than the collective of Just Stop Oil, Youth Demand, and of course, the pro-Palestine supporters combined. What it effectively boils down to is the establishment are using basically both of their arms to try and stop Nigel Farage in any which way they can, by hook or by crook. Even if it means having Peter Mandelson come out and libelously slander Nigel Farage as a terrorist. Even if it means having left-wing shills who have no brain cells amongst them throw milkshakes at him, or bricks at Nigel Farage. People may not like Nigel Farage, but that does not mean that he should be subjected to violence. And sometimes, as much as I am loath to say it, even people like Sadiq Khan or Mark Rowley do not deserve to be threatened with violence. That is the one thing I will always say. And hell, I've even said it in one of my videos as far as Sadiq Khan's concerned. I believe it was a time where I think it was a politician wished death on Sadiq Khan, which, as much as it probably would do the world of good, I would not wish it upon him. Like I said, people should not have to have this constant notion, whether it's fear or defiance, that they could potentially be attacked at any given time by some nut job, whether it's left or right wing, in the streets or wherever they go. Nobody deserves that. Not even, dare I say it, paedophiles, as much as they are some of the lowest scum that you can ever come across. It's all about holding those standards that the left wing seem to seldom remember. You know, in those times where the Palestinians say, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free of Jewish blood. That kind of thing. But that full saying, of course, is something the mainstream media will never dare educate us on. But it has to scare some people that people like Nigel Farage, who are being relentlessly attacked, verbally, physically, and even, if it's even a word, I suppose, social medially, because he is being attacked on Google, because Google suspended his account. It was only when he kicked up a stink, like he did the big banks, that he got his account back. It is only when he kicked up a stink that he got a bank account again. They would never dare do this with left-wing politicians. And one thing I can guarantee you, for I'd probably say about 90% of British people, is that nobody likes foul play. Nobody likes to see anybody being persecuted through violence, intimidation, scaremongering, libelous slander, and of course, being cancelled. Nobody likes foul play. Nobody. And all the left wing do by doing this is they're not belittling him. They're not bringing him down. They're elevating him to further heights. And if they keep doing this, I don't want to hold my breath. I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch. I probably need a big farm for the amount I eat. Anyway, I'm not going to count my chickens before they hatch. But I will say this. The more they do this, the more likely Nigel Farage is to actually beat Labour. Because people, even the sheep, will have to start realising what's happening to that man is fundamentally wrong on every level. Like I said, the libelous slander, the debanking, the suspension of his account through no justifiable means, The fact he constantly faces hit piece after hit piece and character assassination after character assassination from shills in the the BBC. Or maybe I was right first time. The constant attacks on him physically with milkshakes that could have been acid, bricks that could have caused untold damage, that the mainstream media and left-wing groups were even jumping on the fact that he was getting this, saying basically that he deserves it. No, he does not deserve it. I wouldn't say that shit for anyone, not even my worst enemies. But they would, because that's the difference between left and right. The left have no standards. We do. And we will not stand idly by while a man is viciously bullied, abused, assaulted, and basically attempted to be silenced. That is unequivocal fascism. And the inexorable truth is the left are losing control. The left are losing control of the situation, and they fucking know it. That's why they will stop at nothing to make sure Nigel Farage doesn't get into power. Because if he does get into power, he will change everything. He will he will take out the trash. He will remove the traitors in the houses of treachery, Parliament. Or maybe I was right first time, again. He will remove the people who damage this country. And he will get people in who actually love their country. That's why the left are worried. They don't want to lose power and control. But it's not a matter of if anymore, it's a matter of when. And when it does happen, I'm sure they'll kick up a big stink over it. But they've only got themselves to blame, because all they had to do to make sure this doesn't happen is actually respect the wishes, the patriotic and democratic votes of the British people, and actually showcase to us that they care about this country. But as I said at the start of this video, and I will say as the end, what do you call a politician sprinting into 10 Downing Street? A running joke.